Jon Stewart just went viral in a clip that I think makes him look like a complete hack and buffoon, but the clip has gone viral on the left as an example of Jon Stewart totally owning the Republican Arkansas Attorney General with facts and logic on this very point. Take a listen.
Why would the state of Arkansas step in to override parents, physicians, psychiatrists, endocrinologists who have developed guidelines? Why would you override those guidelines?
Well, I think it's important that all of those physicians, all of those experts, for every single one of them, there's an expert that says we don't need to allow children to be able to take those medications. That there are many instances where...
But you know that's not true. You know it's not for everyone. There's one. These are the established...
Well, I don't know that's not true. I don't know that...
Then why would you pass a law then if you don't know that that's true? Wouldn't you?
Well, I know that there are doctors...
Let me try and flip it a different way and see if maybe this can help. In Arkansas, if you have pediatric cancer, and obviously we all want to protect children, I think we established that earlier, whose guidelines do you follow for pediatric cancer?
Whose guidelines do you follow? This is his own. You follow the doctors. So then if you follow the doctors on a very long-standing, well-established body of medical literature on how to treat a very specific ailment that will kill your child, then why don't you trust them when they want to cut your child's penis off? Do I even have to answer that question? By the way, the very fact that the so-called medical experts are now advocating pumping little kids full of cross-sex hormones and trying to mutilate them into being the opposite sex actually does make me less likely to trust them on the cancer treatment and on every other aspect of medical science. But do you see what Jon Stewart is advocating here? He's advocating a complete blind allegiance to and faith in the political establishment. Not even just the medical experts, because as the Arkansas Attorney General rightly points out, there are many experts on the other side. And Jon Stewart doesn't even really quibble with that. He says, well, it's not one-to-one. There's not one of your experts for every one of our experts, which may or may not be true. Sort of who cares? He's at least conceding the premise that, yes, you conservatives, the people who oppose chopping off little kids' genitals, you guys have some experts on your side, but we have other experts. And anyway, our experts are the ones that are enshrined in the political establishment, so you should trust them. A complete blind faith. Ironic, of course, because Jon Stewart presents himself as speaking truth to power, and the whole left presents itself as being sort of countercultural and fighting the entrenched powers when, in fact, they are the only entrenched power in the country. But imagine that. Imagine thinking that. Let's just say Jon Stewart's being sincere for a second. He is actually telling people not to believe their own eyes, not to use their own brains, not to use their own reason, not to trust anything that happened before yesterday, before today. Why wouldn't you trust the experts? I wouldn't trust the experts because they are saying that boys can actually be girls. That's why. That's the proof that they're not omniscient, not necessarily correct here, not the geniuses you're presenting them to be. The very fact that they're saying that is the proof that they are not these people. And Jon Stewart actually makes a joke earlier in this clip. He says, some people used to make jokes about transgenderism, but those guys were totally wrong. And then he plays a clip of himself doing it on his show. But he says, but now I've been told by the political establishment that's not true, so I'm going to ignore even what I used to think. But just look at the record here. The prejudice of the people, the wisdom of repugnance of ordinary people, the intuitions and natural inklings of ordinary people in recent years has been proven much, much more reliable, much, much more correct, much, much more trustworthy than the fantasies and pronouncements of the exalted, established experts. Boston Children's Hospital not only just put out an insane video on transgenderism, not only an incoherent video on transgenderism, but an a self-contradictory incoherent video on transgenderism. Take a listen.
So most of the patients that we have in the GEMS clinic actually know their gender, usually around the age of puberty, but a good portion of children do know as early as seemingly from the womb, and they will usually express their gender identity as very young children, some as soon as they can talk. They might say phrases such as I'm a girl, or I'm a boy, or I'm going to be a woman, or I'm going to be a mom. Kids know very, very early.
Children know that they're transgender in the womb. Children in the womb aren't children. They're just clumps of cells. They're not even human, and they're not alive. Those are two opinions that the libs want us to hold simultaneously. What do you think the odds are that that lady saying that supports abortion? 150%? I would bet a lot of money that that lady's pro-abortion. I would bet my entire net worth that the people who fall in line with her argument broadly support abortion. And they support abortion because they say, usually, the mainstream pro-abortion argument is, oh, it's not a baby, not human, not alive, not a person, when that suits their argument on abortion. But then when they want to peddle transgenderism, they say not only is it alive, not only is it human, not only is it a person, but it's actually conscious and it's aware of gender identity, and the little blastula, or whatever stupid science jargony term they want to use, actually knows that even though he looks like a boy, he's really a girl. That's what and they want you to believe that. That's what they, and when you raise any questions about that, they will brush you aside. They'll say, oh, you're not an expert, you're an idiot, you don't know anything. But it's just arbitrary. It's just capricious. It's the exact same thing as Dr. Fauci saying, don't wear the masks. And then a week later, wear the masks. You have to wear the masks. What changed? I don't know. Shut up, you stooge. You little sheep. Whatever I say, I'm the science, so whatever I say is the truth. It's the exact same thing. And that's all they ever say. The science worship is just so preposterous. It's preposterous in the scientific terms that they're using, and it's preposterous because physical reality is not the ultimate reality, and there's much more to talk about. Philosophy, ethics, theology, all sorts of things than just cells. But even on the level of science, it's ridiculous. Today's Music Monday, okay? We've got a song that was requested by one of the great members of this show, who we will see in the member block. And my producer, Ben Davies, has teed it up for me. He tells me I'm going to hate the song, but we'll see. The rest of the show begins now. If you don't want to miss it, well, you certainly don't want to miss it. If you're not a member, click the link in the description and join us. We will see you over at the member block.